So
I'm tired, guys. So my energy is gonna be a little low today.
Ah, man, that's why I drink Monster, bro.
It's true.
there you go.
Sorry.
Way to way to do it. E.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Way to promote
that rehab, boy. Actually, I'm religious with rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good. Real
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Not like from drugs and that kind of abuse.
No, it's pretty clean. It's a clean one. That's a clean one.
You talk about a beverage, just to be clear, in case people think you're going through rehab.
No. Monster Energy rehab.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
What up, gents?
What up, mangs?
Where to start, bro?
I don't know. We got UFOs, trains derailment, people getting beat up in the streets, getting crazy out there, man.
I actually have a question that has nothing to do with any of that shit.
Nothing to do with UFOs?
Nothing to do with UFOs.
What is it?
Should I save it for later, or do y'all want to talk about UFOs?
No. Go ahead. Unidentified children?
I can tell you one quick thing about UFOs.
Go.
What?
So my mom was talking to me last night, and she was just kind of laughing, like, "So you ready for those aliens?" Right.
Right.
Started laughing, and then I forget the name of it, but she said, like, there's been this whole thing, like, back in the days, and like in the 40s and 50s, where the government had created this thing called Project Blue Beam, I think it's called.
No, Blue Book. Project Blue Book.
Is it Blue Book or Blue Beam?
Unless that's another project, but definitely the UFO thing that they were doing was Project Blue Book.
Well, I don't know if it's Blue Book or Blue Beam or some other kind of beam. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's another one. They probably have a million projects.
But it was basically like, once things started getting kind of crazy and out of whack and hard for people to, kind of rein in the masses, would be to use this project to introduce UFOs and aliens to the masses, so that you'd scare the masses and have everyone come back together and listen to what the government says. So
like a new religion,
just as a way to, I mean, not even like, I don't even know if they introduce, if their plan is to introduce actual aliens, but the idea, like, it just seems wild that all of a sudden they release these classified documents and now they're shooting down things and not ruling it out. And if you look at the kind of chaos that society is, maybe it's
well, ask yourself this is the question to ask. Why they said they didn't shoot down the Chinese spy balloon because they didn't want it to fall on people, so They waited a bunch of days and then they shot it off the coast of the Carolinas. Why all of a sudden are these other three all good to just shoot down immediately over land? There's just questions around all this stuff. Like, what makes him, like, how do they not know it's a biological situation where an enemy,
right.
And then they're hoping we shoot it down, and then it rains down biological warfare on us or chemical warfare. Like, it's just wild that it's like they know what they're shooting down.
Right. Yeah.
Either they're the ones sending it up, and then they're not saying it's not aliens. They're not ruling it out that it's UFOs. It's just like, you never know if it's, what do they call it? A psyops type of thing, or it's just, we're living in some weird fucking times, bro.
Every generation has always. And
you're frozen, Manny.
Oh, that's fucking great.
but it's a good side of your face.
Thanks.
Now you're back.
All right. Well, anyway, enough about UFOs. Until the aliens come out.
Who, the Anunnakis?
Then we'll talk about that.
Anunnakis. I kind of want them to come already. Hurry up, bro. Like, who gives a shit?
Well, actually, if you want them to already come, I've been following a bunch of podcasts that have all these guests that are like legit, like CIA people, Air Force people, ufologists, all this different stuff.
There's such thing as a ufologist?
Oh man, for real? Yeah, straight up.
Wow. Okay.
Straight up. And now they're in vogue, because before they were looked at as weirdos, but now they're in vogue and they're doing big speaking engagements and documentaries and all kinds of stuff.
He getting that paper.
But this one dude who did this doc that I watched, which was pretty good, about a Brazilian crash that supposedly had live alien beings that were captured. And the guy goes to Brazil and he interviews all these people that were in the news and everything, and he shows the news and he shows the people now and all this crazy stuff. But the dude said that he was talking to a military guy, and he told the military. No, I'm lying. He was talking to a billionaire. You know the guy. You ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
No.
Well, whatever. You can research that on your own. But he's talking to a billionaire that's into UFO stuff too, right? And the guy also has a bunch of military contracts going back to the 50s and 60s. So he's like, people in the UFO world say they don't know if he's a ufologist trying to find truth or if he's on the UFO side of the government trying to hide truth, right?
Mm.
So he was able to meet with this guy because the guy saw his documentary, liked it, and when they were able to connect. And then he asked the guy straight up, like, listen, man, what's going on here? What side do you land on? Are you trying to let the truth out, or you hiding the truth? What's going on? The guy's like, look, man, he's like, they're walking amongst us. I'll just tell you that.
But I was just about to say, kind of jokingly, but like half serious, like the behavior of some people, and actually, this is probably a diss to aliens, but like it's awkward. Some people move awkward, so it's not.
Yeah, and some people's eyes go.
Yeah, of course. But like, there's just some wild shit that you see in the street that you're like, yo, that can't be normal. And then you're like, wait a minute, maybe this is some other being.
And another dude said that a military guy told him that they live in our oceans. They meaning I don't know who, because maybe it's ancient aliens that ended up living in our oceans, or maybe it's ancient earthling things that we're not, that Atlanteans, I don't know, that live in the ocean.
Yeah, don't listen to us, the ufologists. Have no credentials.
Crazy hood ufologists. Crazy ufologists.
I think that shit is super interesting, though. It is. I mean, I still think it's more conspiratorial than anything, but I could be getting the wool.
But the thing is, everything now looks like a UFO. In Miami, we had a bunch of lights flying down, and then they were spread out, and then they came together. And I saw the video, and everybody's like, UFOs in Miami. And I'm like, oh, man, damn. Then you read the comments, and then you research a little bit more. It was a nighttime
drone show,
parachute troopers that
okay.
do it at night and do it every time of the year around this time of the year. And that's what it was.
I don't know. Cool shit.
What a time.
So, all right. So this question has nothing to do with nothing, but it comes from a conversation I had many years ago. For those that don't know, I'm
with an alien.
No aliens.
Okay.
Some aliens might enjoy this. So my background is in advertising technology, right? And so I typically worked with digital media companies to help them make money from the content that they create, right? So
the Illuminati.
Yes. So when I was like 10 years ago in my career, a friend of mine and I, we were like talking, and we were like, yo, like we could take what we know here and take it to a whole different segment of media that is taboo and utilize what we know to benefit ourselves first, and then obviously whoever else we're working with. So that taboo corner of the world is porn, right? And so the conversation came back up last week when I was at an event, and it was basically like, yo, it was a guy who worked in my industry that's from Canada, from Toronto. And he was telling me how like 20% of what you see online that's porn related comes from Canada. And I had no idea.
I didn't know the Canadians were like this.
Heavy. Not only that,
bacon and sausage.
Yeah. But like Pornhub is based there. It was founded there. Like it was created. So all this, and I'm like, yo, man, like I've always thought about historically, I was like, yo, if I could take my powers and use them for evil in the porn game, I could be filthy rich. But my moral compass never allowed me to do it. And the biggest thing for me was, what do I tell my kids when I have them? Because at the time I didn't have any. Well, that's not true. I have my eldest. But what would I tell my kids about how we're living lavish, like where that came from? And so that resurfaced, and I wanted to pose the question to you guys. If you had, with your background and abilities, a way to make crazy dough, but porn is the medium in which you're making it.
Could it be anything that's, you consider morally not in your compass?
I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you could. But,
I actually went down that road.
ooh.
So, bear with me here.
Wait, hold on. Are we gonna put ourselves in jeopardy here? I don't want
No,
you.
no. Because I had to think about my moral compass before finally really. I mean, I did pursue it a little bit, but then I
You
backed
reined it
away.
back.
So me and Kay, we met at a record label that was funded
Yep.
by a big porn company, Reality Kings, Bang Buzz, those guys, all those guys.
Yeah.
And so we were around it a lot, and we saw how much bread these guys had. I mean, they were just dumping a bunch of money into this record label that we were working at.
Right.
And this is around the time that I've talked oftentimes that I was going through some financial difficulties at a point.
Yeah.
After that, but way after that though, like a year or two after I had left that label. And so I had people around me that were like, "Hey, you worked at that porn company?" I was like, "No, I didn't work at the porn company. I worked at a record label." Like, well, you worked in such close proximity that there's people that would be interested in investing in doing that because it just makes so much money and you can consult. And I was like, the only thing I could consult is on the marketing side of it, but I'd be interested because at the time I was looking for ways to bring in money. And what's funny about that, and this is, I don't know if this is a Cuban thing, but it's just funny to me that I told my mom about it because I was like, kind of like, damn, this is before I have kids. I was like, I don't know about this. And I tell my mom, and this is how your parents just love you and they just don't want to see you suffer. She knows I'm going through it financially. And she's just like, hey, it's legal, right? It's the American dream. So by all means, you're not hurting anybody. Just go ahead, do it. Because had she said no, that's oh my God, no, I probably would have even more so like not done it. But I pursued it a little bit. And of course, in pursuing it a little bit, I'm surrounded around shady, obviously people that have no moral standing, no moral compass, just grimy people. Some underworld element people too. Like I was just exposing myself to some weird ass groups of people in trying to do this. And at a point, luckily it didn't go fast. Maybe if it fast tracked and money came in, God knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
But it didn't fast track it and a lot of money didn't come in. But I could have kept pursuing it. And then I was just, you know what, man, this is not for me. This is not for me at all. And I did think very much so. And I always thought of to an extent, at some point I'm going to have kids. If they look back at this, like, this is what, I mean, I think about that, even some of the music that I've been involved in, in the past. I'm like, damn, my kids listen to like, Dad, what the fuck y'all was talking about, bro? What's hacking? But at least, I could wholeheartedly say I was passionate about the music. And so in that, I could be like, I was young and we was dumb and this is what we was talking about. But this is not something I'm passionate about. Right. So I was definitely, going outside of my moral compass just to make a buck. And that's not cool. And so it ended up not doing it. But we have a friend, which we're not going to name at all, that did go down that road more heavy, like really like in the trenches and
deep in the bush,
heavy hitters, not the DJs. And I would tell him, I'm like, yo, bro, and then he had a kid in the midst of doing it, or like right in the beginnings of doing it. And again, this is all the, when you look back, there was a whole financial economic issue throughout the entire country. We were going through economic problems. So the same goes for him that was happening with me. And he found this lane and he could, exploit it. And he totally put his moral compass to the side.
He stashed that shit.
And I tell him, bro, like in the future, man, like, I don't know, man, like your kid, like it's a hard one to explain. He's out of it now, thank God. And before his kid got, old enough to like see it in real time. But I worry for him if one day he has to explain it.
How about you, Kay? Maybe it sounds like you want to get away from porn. You want to use something less interesting.
No, I'll just say, because I think it's a general conversation. But yeah, I mean, to E's point, I mean, that it was, it was a short stint, but it definitely felt uncomfortable just knowing where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
And I was happy when it evolved and we turned it into something else. So
I'll tell you what's wild is walking through those offices, especially the editing area, and just all these screens and these dudes with headphones on. They're like editing the stuff, and you just see wildness going on.
But I would say, generally speaking, I mean, it's a good conversation in terms of like having your kids just try to discover like what their moral compass is, right? Because I don't know if a lot of adults even know what their what their moral compass is, or have been able to define that. I think it's probably a good idea early on in life for our kids to pay attention.
It's going to be hard to find it early on in life.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's probably where the guidance kind of helps them, keep them in a certain track.
But just that inherent feeling of like, all right, when I do this feels like it was the right thing to do. Versus when I do this, or when I went down this path, it didn't feel right at the very beginning. I kind of knew I shouldn't be doing this, or this wasn't the right thing for me to do, but I did it anyway. You know what I mean?
I tell people often when I give advice, like if someone asks me for advice, I tell people it doesn't mean that my moral compass is your moral compass, but it is important that you establish one for yourself, because that'll help you navigate in business or whatever in a place that you feel comfortable and authentic in. Like I met many dudes in the porn industry that were cool dudes, that they had a different moral compass, and it seemed like that didn't affect them, and they were cool. Like I have no judgment on them. It's not for me, but they seem fine, dudes and women.
Yeah, look, to each his own, right? That his or her own, to each his or her own. But I do think we all know, and sometimes we don't want to listen to those those conversations that we have, or those gut feelings that we have, and we do know when we step out and do something that we have that cringe of like, fuck, this is not the right thing. But a lot of times folks don't listen to it.
And I think that's saying not all money is good money. Sorry, Manny.
No, I was gonna say, I think it's a challenge, right? Like I'm an old ass person now, and I still struggle with like knowing what I'm feeling and then deciding accordingly. Because in my head will tell me something, my gut tells me another thing. Pause. And I'm like,
sorry,
which is right? Because like, and then there's like the machismo aspect of it too. Because it's like, yo, whatever it might be, right? I'm like, all right, my gut says I don't want this. I want to do this. My head says, yo, but think about the pros. Like, why you being a bitch? Like, just go do X. It's fine. But in my gut, I know I'm like, yo, I don't want to do that shit. But then I do it anyway, and then
something bad happens, right?
Something that you don't want happens, right? But again, it's always a struggle. Like it's not as clean cut as you might think at this age,
right? But just think like it's probably always going to be a struggle, right? There's always going to be struggle moments. But just think like if we're able. We're talking about this now, and we're able to then provide some guidance to our kids. Maybe they're getting this guidance, at a younger age than maybe we did or other people have gotten. And so maybe it becomes less of a struggle for them as they're older, because they've had more time and, been able to, if they accept some of the guidance here.
Let me ask you a question. And it's kind of like pivoting a little bit, but in the same vein. How would you feel if your child ends up not having a good moral compass? For example, me and my girl we were talking about like how terrible it must be for the parents of the kids that get killed in these school shootings, but even also equally the parent of the kid that did the school shooting.
Yeah, no, it's got to be horrific.
And I immediately, just putting myself in those shoes, said, I would want to be the parent that's still there for my kid, even if they were the bad actor in that role, because at that moment is probably when they need you the most. But then you also have to think, what if your kid just ends up being this evil fucking crazy person? Like, how do you deal with that?
I think you have to Yeah, I mean, if they become this total evil, crazy person, then I do think at some point you have to take a step back and be like, all right, this is, this is what it is, and you might have to act accordingly. It's almost like when you have people that are close to you that have addictions and things like that. At some point, like, you want to be there to help them, and you want to try to help, but at some point you also have to cut off, because there's only so much you can do, and you have to just kind of put it in.
But what determines that? Like, what?
I think you have to, I guess you have to mentally determine it for yourself.
Because an addict will keep going back, and that's it. It exhausts you as a person trying to support them. But let's just say a kid that seemed pretty normal up until the point where they did something horrible, and then after that they're like stone cold.
Yeah, that's got to be man. That's a horrible scenario right there. Oh my! But it happens, right?
All the time.
It happens way too often, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The question though is, like, I was just thinking about what you said, E. Like, can you just like turn around and just like walk away in their biggest moment of need after something crazy, terrible has happened? Like,
and the world is completely against them,
and you,
rightfully so, but still, they're alone completely.
Yeah. Like, and it made me think, like, yo, like if I saw signs, right? God forbid, if I saw signs that my kid was trending in that direction, that was going to be a mass shooter type of situation, am I calling the cops?
Nah.
Prevent it?
No, you got to. I think I wouldn't want to call the cops, because you don't even, you don't know that it's going to happen. Or what I would do is, at that point, God willing, you're financially stable enough to do some drastic things. Take this kid, pluck them out of the world that they're in, go on a trip with them, go on a fucking sabbatical somewhere, do some fucking random crazy shit that like rewires their mind. That's what I would try to do.
Have you guys seen the show Accused on Fox?
I've seen you Frozen right now.
Yo, there's an episode, I think it might have been the second episode. So it's a new series on Fox. It just came out last month. And it goes to Accused, so it's court drama sort of related. But there's one episode, like I said, I think it's the second one. This scenario actually plays out. So the dad sees signs in his son that he's going off the rocker. And there's like all these little hints or whatever. And then it comes to a point, the dad decides, my kid is going to kill someone. Like, he saw it like written in a journal, all these like signs. And the dad's like, oh shit, sorry. Spoiler alert, if you're watching it and you didn't get to watch it. Sorry, I'm telling everybody. So the dad takes the kid on a hike to like a mountain. So kind of like what you were just saying, like someplace that just to clear their head. The dad's intention is to kill his son.
Oh my God, that's not like I'm saying at all.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, some of the shit ties. So his intention is to go kill him, because I think he even went to the police or something, and they were like, yo, you can't, you don't know what's gonna happen, right? And then he ends up not killing his son. His son plays him and basically is like acting like, oh, that shit worked and that kind of thing.
Right, and then does the shit.
And then he killed a bunch of kids in the school. And himself. He shot himself. And then the dad was in court, basically he got left holding the bag, like, yo, you gave your son X amount of dollars to go buy the gun that actually he used for that thing. So like, my wife and I saw that shit, and we was just like, we didn't say it, but I know we were both thinking the same thing, like, yo, God forbid that's something we ever have to deal with.
Man, God forbid a lot of fucked up shit that
I was heavy.
It's scary, man. Over here, we had an issue where, or something on the news that popped up yesterday. I think a 13, 14-year-old girl committed suicide because she got bullied. And they show the video. The father wanted, I guess, approved, obviously, because they had the father on the news, approved the footage of her getting beat up. She got jumped in school, and then they showed her beat up face, and then she committed suicide. And then there's another one that my girl, I don't even watch it. My girl's like, you got to watch it because it makes me when anything that even comes close to my kids, like there's an older sister and then the younger brother on the bus. I don't know where this. I don't know if this happened in Florida or somewhere else. I don't know if you guys seen this one where they're getting jumped, also viciously jumped. Like they're beating the crap out of the sister, and then the brother I think tries to help, but he's little, like a 4-year-old or something like that. And then or I don't know how old. I don't know if my facts are facts, but they're young kids. One's older and one's younger, and they beat the sister up and they beat the brother up viciously in a school bus.
Oh,
people are losing their minds, dude. How about that thing I sent you today with the family getting like the guys are attacking the kids too that are in the.
What was that?
They hit the kids?
Yeah.
No, they punched one of the kids in the mouth.
Yeah.
And what was that? That was one of those like weird takeover areas, like anarchy areas.
Just like were they doing donuts and
that
shit like that?
What's it called again? They labeled it. I'm trying to find it. What they call
a sideshow or
sideshow. That's it.
That shit's out of control, bro. I think here in Florida they made a law right now where I don't know if it's true. I just saw it on IG where the cops have the right to confiscate the cars.
Good, they should.
Yeah, that shit's out of fucking control.
Well, what's up with a family like rolling up because it's just they're trying to get home, and all of a sudden people start pulling the kids out and punching them and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
again, that goes back to lack of moral compass. Like, how can anybody in a group not like even me as a teenager thinking crazy shit would never see a family, a mother, a father, and kids as someone that I would want to do any harm to. In fact, I would want to protect them.
Yeah, what happened to that, bro? Like, I think we might have mentioned this before on this pod, but like, yo, you think back to your own childhood, right? And in my case, like in front of my building, the stoop, like the entryway to the building, like you had people hanging out, sitting there. But let somebody need to get by, especially if it's an older person, you're gonna get up and let them through, or even like they got
family with kids, like the kind of off limits, right?
There's a code.
Yeah,
you're not gonna be a wild.
Protect the kids getting bullied. That was a thing that when we were in high school, me and my friends would try to do. Another thing that I always was conscious of growing up is that me and my group of friends, we looked like an intimidating gang because there was so many numbers of us at one place.
You guys are a bunch of hooligans.
Okay. And whenever I would see people come around, I would try to make them understand that we're not a threat to them, in any way possible. And my tone of my voice, tell my friends move over, and so yeah, man, it's just it's crazy. The world has gotten crazy, man.
God forbid you're on a subway and you make eye contact with a group of teenagers. You do not want to do that.
Oh, no. Like we don't know what the fuck the root cause is, but like in that example, right? Like you look at a bunch of teenagers in the eye and then they feel some sort of type of way and you got a situation. But like, yo, how like whack must you be inside that everything is a threat like that? Just somebody looking at you. They could be looking past you, but you take it as somebody looking at you a particular way.
Well, that's always been a thing, though. Here in Miami, we call it easing. If you easing me,
Easing?
Easing is like if you're staring at someone.
That sounds very cute.
But the difference between eye and someone
and mean mugging somebody,
or just like you happen to look in someone's direction and then
it seems like
you catch that random eye contact and then it's on, right?
People are picking fights on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what it is, man. And it's groups. I don't think it's ever often one person by themselves. They're doing it in groups where like I said before, with my crew as a group, I felt like I know we're intimidating. I know that I don't want, I gotta make sure we don't scare people. Try to defuse things. I mean, unless it was a situation where we wanted to be into, like if Manny came by, we got whoop his ass.
No, I almost got my ass whooped by you guys one time. I remember that.
By us?
Yo, you don't remember, bro?
Not by us, bro.
Well,
with us.
I don't know. No, that was funny. We wasn't gonna get pounded.
Oh no, we was whipping ass that day.
That kid is lucky he survived.
Don't call him a kid because that sounds terrible.
Okay, you're right. He wasn't. He was an adult. But no, you don't remember. There was a time early when you and I met that I was visiting. I had moved. No, it wasn't that early. I had moved from Florida, but I was visiting, and it was the first time I met Paul.
Mm-hmm.
and you came with Paul. I think you guys scooped me up because you was in the neighborhood, and Paul was sizing me up something crazy.
He always does that.
And then I'm looking at him like, yo, you good, dog? He's like, yeah. Like he was gonna take a bite out of me and shit.
You're like a tenderloin.
Yeah. And like a year later or whatever, actually by the end of the night, like we were fine. But I remember when I asked him about it, he was kind of like, yo, I don't know. I gotta make sure, you good. Because he brings people in and out. I gotta make sure the vibe is right, or else you gotta stomp a motherfucker out. Like, okay, all right, security.
That's one person. It wasn't the crew.
I know, but he's part of the crew, so everybody gets it. If I had to go to court, I'd be like, it was Crazy Hood. It wasn't just Paul.
So moral of the story is no one has a moral compass anymore, basically.
Yo, it's going away fast, bro.
And then introduce aliens who the moral compasses are out the window completely, bro.
Right.
But like going back to that, like, you E and K, all of us, we chose a path career-wise that more closely aligns with what we think is good and bad. Well,
yeah, getting drunk on camera.
Well, that's where I was going, right? That's where I was going. To the viewer, like a lot of people actually would consider that fun.
Right.
And
Most people.
I think we all would. Just the amount of times you have to do it at a certain point is not fun no more. It's kind of, damn, I wish we didn't have to today, right? But in the grand scheme, you feel good, generally speaking, about it. There's a few things you would change, but
no, moral compass doesn't want to have a legacy of influencing people to want to be drunk and potentially be alcoholics.
But the money's good.
No, it's just no. But what I've done things, like I've done PSAs that I went out and reached out to do for anybody with drug and alcohol issues. There's little things that I try to do to kind of like balance things out.
Yeah.
Well, this was a grim episode.
This is a grim episode.
Wait, it's gonna be dope when our special guest is fucking Toby from Mars, and he's a father of 3.
3.5, because up there they don't have holes, they have halves too.
That would be interesting. Fucking the Mandalorian's our special guest, and he's a real person. He's from Mandalorian. Oh, and he's got baby Yoda. That's his kid. He's a stepfather.
I gotta catch up on my conspiracy theories. It's been a while.
It's not conspiracy, bro. The fucking government is saying, choo choo. Look at these things in the sky. Choo 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 choo.
Pew pew. Everybody's kids good though?
Yeah.
Before we wrap?
Yeah. So far, so good, man.
Yeah. I'm just looking up in the sky for these Chinese spy balloons.
Yeah, be careful out there.
And some.
Be careful out there. You enjoy that.
Thanks.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, man. I gotta run.
Same.
Peace in the hood.
Later.
Pizza.